new Silent Hill 2 remake trailer, as well as a big ol' 30-minute or so video of gameplay footage from the intro basically to the end of the apartments, with some stuff cut out, but we get to see good chunk of Silent Hill 2 remake from the intro, as well as the newest story trailer. It's our first time looking at Eddie. But let's just watch the trailer. I'm not going to pause it too much right now.
James? Honey? Did something happen to you? After we got separated in that long hallway? Are you confusing me with someone else? You were always so forgetful. Remember that time in the hotel?
Are you taping again? Come on. I don't know why, but I just love it here. It's so peaceful.
In my restless dreams, I see that town. You promised you'd take me there again someday, but you never did. Well, I'm alone there now, in our special place.
Just put the gun to their head.
You can't just kill someone because of the way they looked at you.
You should see your face, James.
Let go!
I'm sorry, Laura, but I can't let you just run around this place. You might get hurt.
Hurt by what?
This place is different from what I remember. I don't think she's here anymore.
This whole town. Might be best if you just get out of here.
Yeah, you're right.
You said you took everything. But you forgot that videotape we made.
How do you know about that? Aren't you Maria?
I'm not your Mary.
So you are Maria.
I am. If you want me to be.
How do you know about Mary?
You see it too? For me, it's always like this.
Doesn't matter who I am. I am here for you, James. See? I'm real.
Okay. This should have been the trailer we got months ago. I mean, keep in mind, it's been what, 2 years now since the first transmission? Almost 2 years. October would be 2 years. Definitely agree with that sentiment. This is the point where they should have shown something. Now, the trailer itself, it's definitely they're trying to go off of a little bit of that nostalgia. It's obviously edited very, very similarly to like the intro, the Silent Hill 2 intro when you're starting the game up and you get the eye catch, when idling on the title screen. So you've got that working for it. Like I said, we're going to go through it kind of little by little, but just in terms of a trailer, this is a much better trailer. Editing wise, the music, a lot of people are not happy with the music. I think now this is again in a recent interview. This is Akira Yamaoka, by the way. He said in a recent interview that he is redoing all of the music for this game and that it was frustrating for him because to do the music, he was trying to put himself in the mindset of 25 years ago when he was writing everything for Silent Hill 2 originally. And he said he can't even remember what it was like being that person 25 years ago. He was like, I had no money, you know. He didn't even own a bass guitar. He said all of the bass for Silent Hill 2 was done by tuning down his guitars because he couldn't afford a bass. But that is like such a far cry from who he is today that he struggled. And he talked about that in an interview recently, that he struggled with the music for this. So what you're hearing is Yamaoka accepting that he's like a big rock star now. So he's just going to do big rock star shit with this soundtrack from 25 years ago, instead of just trying to force himself into a mindset that he just doesn't have anymore. And I think that's what we're getting to hear. Is it true to the original? No. Does it capture the tone of the original? No. It's a little different. But I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's off. It just sounds more like newer Yamaoka than 2001 Yamaoka. It definitely sounds, if you've been lucky enough to ever see Yamaoka live, it sounds very similar to a lot of his live arrangements for when he plays Promise, when he plays Theme of Laura, when he plays these songs live with a band at events. I got to see him at San Japan. That would have been 2013, I think he was at San Japan. 2013, 2014, something like that. So the arrangements and stuff that he did, especially for the trailer, come off as kind of the bigger, more bombastic stage arrangements of the songs. And for a trailer, I think it works great. He also mentioned that for the final game, he recorded 9 hours of new music. And he said Konami doesn't even know what to do with it. They don't know how to release it. He wants to release a soundtrack, but they don't know what to do because they have 9 hours of music. So don't be too upset thinking that this song for this specific trailer is going to be the vibe of the music for the final game. Because the final game has 9 fucking hours worth of music, apparently. New Yamaoka music. So just to put that into context, if you don't like this song, there's a very good likelihood you probably won't even hear it in the game. This could very much just be a rendition that we hear for this trailer. And we'll hear 8 other variations of it in a 9-hour music compilation when the game comes out. But in terms of like trailer vibe, I think the song works. I think the arrangement works. Even some of the early, like, original Silent Hill E3, go back and watch some of the early E3 trailers and stuff. They had different arrangements of the music compared to what you hear in the actual release. So Even the original did the same thing. This is how you promote video games. But yeah, I think this trailer is much nicer. It's much cleaner. Let's go back through it a little bit more fine. Also, Mom Zombie, thank you so much for the resub and the all subs matter. That was like right as I got going and paused the alerts and stuff. But thank you so much, Mom Zombie. Thank you, Mom. I love you. I miss you. Hope you're doing well. But yeah, let's go through this.
James? Honey? Did something happen to you?
So there's been a few things people have commented on. I just want to reiterate from my comments on the last few trailers and stuff that I've talked about with Silent Hill 2 Remake. I'm still not a fan of Maria's redesign. I don't hate it, but I don't think it's necessarily an improvement over the original, and I'm of the mindset of if you're not improving something over the original, why change it? That's kind of where I feel with Maria's redesign. It's not awful, but it's not better. So why? But things proportion-wise here look a little off. I don't know if it's just like the camera having a little bit of almost like a fisheye. You can see there's a little bit of vignetting. That could, again, be stuff for the trailer. That could just be whatever. Also, little interesting editing thing here. I don't know if anybody caught this. Look at the 4:3. You see what they're doing here? They're reminding you literally of the original, even through the aspect ratio. And then it stretches to 16:9 during this scene. I don't know if anybody picked up on that little detail, that they're literally going back and referring to the original intro straight down to 4:3 aspect ratio. So there's lots of little details like that in the editing and stuff for the trailer. People were picking up on the IV drip stand over here and talking about, bloopers being I saw people saying it's a good thing, it's a bad thing. It's in the original. There's an IV drip stand in this room. So I don't know why people were making a big deal about that and trying to use it as like a gotcha point on like bloopers doing something subtle or not so subtle or whatever. It's there. It's in the original. What's wrong with the IV drip? Nothing. It doesn't bother me. I just wanted to point it out because I saw some comments on it. I'm detracting and talking about other things before I jump into the main thing. The performance here. I do not like Salome Gunner's daughter's performance here for this scene. I like her performance in other scenes, and I really like her performance in the bits of her Mary voice that we hear, the flashback to Mary. Sounds really good. This scene is one of the most important scenes, and it needs to convey something very, very particular about Maria as a character, and it has to be conveyed that way through the voice acting. Nothing about how you frame the visuals is going to be enough to do this scene justice. This one relies so heavily on Maria's performance, on the voice actress's performance to shift very subtly between sounding like Mary, sounding like Maria, and confusing James and confusing the player. And there's very particular lines of dialogue that need to sound like Mary, very particular lines of dialogue that need to sound like Maria. And if you can't convey that well enough through the performance, the scene kind of falls flat. The same issue happened with HD Collection with Mary Elizabeth McGlynn, who is a great singer and a good voice actress, she did not do well in this scene either. It's a difficult scene. This is not an easy, I'm not trying to say this is something that any voice actor or actress, whatever, should be able to do easily. It's a difficult scene to pull off. And it's one that, again, is a small miracle when you look at Silent Hill 2 original. Monica Taylor Horgan, who voiced Mary and Maria, not a super professional voice actress, very, very few voice acting roles in her career. But you got a really distinct performance. She had a really, really natural knack for sounding like Mary, sounding like Maria, and sort of flowing between those two characters in the original version of this scene. So again, listening to this new performance with that in mind.
Did something happen to you after we got separated in that long hallway? Are you confusing me with someone else?
So this is supposed to sound like Maria, you know, after we got separated at the long hallway. This is a memory of something that just happened in Brookhaven Hospital between Maria and James. But then when she goes into "You were always so forgetful," that's Mary. That's Mary reminiscing on her life with James. Like, that is the wife commenting on something she knows about the husband. "You were always so forgetful." So you have that original version of this scene with Monica Taylor Horgan flowing very naturally from this Maria voice to the Mary voice for this. And then here we hear Salome trying to do the same thing.
Confusing me with someone else? You were always so forgetful. Remember that time in the hotel?
It's a little too flat. It's a little just too... The Mary voice is not quite sweet enough, and the Maria voice is a little too threatening almost, rather than, kind of a sultriness that should be there. Like, the creepiness shouldn't be coming through her voice. It should be coming through the circumstance of the scene. Because she should be kind of shifting between this sensual teasing Maria versus the sweeter, you know, more, like I said, reminiscent sound of Mary's tone, where she sounds like she's remembering, you know, she's legitimately thinking back to remember that time in the hotel.
Are you taping again? Come on.
But see there, when you hear her performance just for Mary, that sounds great. Right? That, like, are you taping again? This whole thing, that sounds great. Mary's model and all of these little scenes here for the VHS recording, I think all of this works. I think this is like spot on.
I don't know why, but I just love it here. It's so peaceful.
Again, the dialogue not being drastically changed. We're still getting more or less original lines, even slightly changed dialogue that still works just in the context, sounds a little more natural for the way that they're saying it. That performance there for Mary is great, but it's such a stark contrast to the Maria performance, which is not so good. So even though that, like, this performance as Maria, it's such an important scene, and I'm being super, super critical. Like, again, I'm the nerd that's unable to be impressed, right? Like, I'm the impossible audience target demographic, whatever, of diehard Silent Hill fan that's impossible to please, right? So I'm being super critical of all these things. I'm just trying to point out stuff that bothers me. And this performance, it's got a very specific direction that it needed to have, and it didn't quite get that. It doesn't sound horrible, and I know people are going to say that I'm nitpicking things, but there's a very specific tone this scene should have had, that Maria should have had for these line deliveries, and it's not quite there.
Remember that time in the hotel?
Are you taping again? Come on. I don't know why, but I just love it here. It's so peaceful.
Mary sounds good. Like I said, the performance and the look and everything, Mary sounds and looks great. It honestly makes me hope that we see more Mary. Something I hadn't really considered when it comes to the remake, and we're going to see different stuff compared to the original. I kind of hope we see more Mary. I kind of hope we get more flashbacks, just to get a little more of that context. I would not mind some new Mary scenes. I mean, I'd love more scenes of everybody. If they're done well. If they're done respectfully in context, you know. But I'm curious. Visually, I'm still seeing some stuff. Again, really minor, but I don't know if this is something to do with the way the models are done, or maybe the way the fog effect is done. But there is this little sort of outline, sort of fuzzy outline around everything that moves. And you see it around enemies later with the gameplay footage we're going to start watching, and through a lot of that stuff. And the more I started watching, the more I started noticing some of these weird things. Again, little nitpicks. This could be a visual thing. This could be it's running on PS5 hardware, and maybe different settings on PC hardware will be able to deal with this stuff. There's a PC version, so of course modders are going to probably fix any tiniest of little nitpicks that people think about right now. Modders, I'm sure, are going to have a field day with this game. So the real nerd nitpick, how many miles away are the other towns? So we'll see. We'll be able to look at that, I think, when in the gameplay footage a little bit later. But they actually smudged out the distance to Brahms. They said, fuck it. We're not going to add another number to that pile. They decided they're not going with the original number. They're not doing the HD collection number. They're not doing the enhanced edition number. They're just going to smudge it out. That part of the scene is worn off. Brahms is there. Who fucking cares how far away it is? Cowards. I like that response, man. Cowards. Oh, but yeah. I was looking at that too. I'm glad we're all on the same page. We're all looking at the same details. But yeah, little visual things. You can see it a bit more in motion here.
It's so peaceful.
See, it's kind of like ghosting as James moves back and forth. There's like a little weird edge on that.
In my restless dreams.
And before anybody jumps down my throat about these kind of little visual nitpicks and things, this is something that I've pointed out in other Bloober Team games too. Like, it's something that was in the Blair Witch games, and like in Bloober Team's Blair Witch, it was a bigger issue because of how limited vision you had for the majority of that game. Most of it, you're in like pitch black woods with like the tiniest fucking worst flashlight in a game ever. So that stuff really sticks out to me. It has stuck out to me as something Bloober does in a lot of their games. I don't know if it's just a visual thing about how they do certain aspects of it. I'm not that technical minded. All I know is it's a strange visual thing and it sticks out to me.
I see that town. You promised you'd take me there again someday. But you never did. Well, I'm alone.
We still don't have a hot dog cart. We still don't have a hot dog stand. Rest in peace, Rosewater Park hot dog stand. It's been completely replaced with the gazebo.
There, now. In our special place.
Just put the gun to their head.
I don't know if this is a controversial opinion or not, but I like the new Eddie. I like the new Eddie. I was not expecting to like this design. It is off character from the original. It is off character from the concept art. I did call him Louis Anderson. He looks kind of like a cross between Louis Anderson and Chris Farley. And I fucking love it. Dave Shoffley is a tough performance, and of course, like the original, has just been my favorite game for the last like almost 25 years. So nostalgia, God, I'm dying. Nostalgia glasses and all that. But
You can't just kill someone because
I like Eddie. I like Eddie. The voice performance is kind of interesting. It's kind of like a cross between Dave Shoffley's tone with the delivery of the HD collection. It's not my favorite part of Eddie. Yeah, this is the prison. This is when James encounters Eddie in the prison cafeteria. He sounds like he's special. He sounds like he's high. He sounds like he's stoned. The same way he did in HD collection. That was for some reason the direction they went with for the HD new voices. And it's a weird tone for Eddie, but it kind of works. It almost kind of works because, like, especially at this point in the game, Eddie is slipping out of his fucking mind. Like, he was already sort of having a difficult time from the very beginning when you first meet him, kind of keeping his mask up around James. And by this point of the game, like, Eddie doesn't give a fuck anymore. And it is like the last little bit of humanity that's in Eddie to keep him from just shooting James right now. And hearing Eddie's voice, like,
the way they looked at you.
Their head.
But you never did. Well,
I think it works.
I'm alone there now. In our special place.
Just put the gun to their head.
What made Eddie's character arc powerful for me is he seemed like a sane guy yesterday. Yeah, and he's not supposed to be that in this scene. And we don't get to see too much of him in the first time, like when you meet him in the apartments yet. So a lot of that is also going to come down to how does the performance of Eddie compare across the whole game? Because I agree. I think the actor needs to convey Eddie coming off a little bit more normally at first. And you need to have the sort of sanity gradually slipping away. Always felt like Dave Shoffley carried it with more pent-up anger. Yes, and I think that was a big part of Dave Shoffley's original performance that doesn't quite come through as strongly here, but might still kind of work. But yeah, I agree with that. Dave definitely had that performance of like a bully who is really angry inside, but they're already so tormented, so bullied. They try not to let that out. And that's why they rely on the, like, you know, I was just joking, you know, like they try to lean on that false humor rather than give in to the anger, but it makes it that much stronger when they do finally kind of break and give in to that. So you get that really clearly in Dave Shoffley's original performance. In this one, again, the context is going to matter. The context is going to matter so much more. And we don't get the full scene.
Just put the gun to their head.
Again, things like that little sound effect, that could be added in for the trailer. Because people commented, they were like, oh, I hope that's, you know, I don't like that they put the sound of like a gunshot there. Again, this is edited for the trailer. There's also this music, you know, tonally. Obviously, it's not going to be this music during this scene. It's going to be something probably, you know, much more ambient and creepy, probably the original, or obviously an arrangement of the original background music during this cafeteria interaction. So love the slight jolt up with the pow. Yeah, the little expressions.
Their head.
The little expressions as he's doing this, the performance to me like sounds good. Little touches like the breath, you know, coming off of them in these cold rooms, and it's kind of emphasized with the pow and the pull the trigger of the gun, like the big puff of breath.
Their head.
You can't just kill someone because the way they looked at you.
Again, slight dialogue changes compared to the original for anybody who catches things like that. You can't just kill somebody because of the way they look at you in the original, compared to you can't just kill someone because of how they looked at you in the remake. The remake dialogue is James inferring that, you know, Eddie has done that. You killed somebody because of, you killed this person. James in the original, the dialogue is left a little bit more ambiguous, so Eddie doesn't take it quite so directly, which makes it that much more intense when you have James confronting Eddie again after this and giving the whole Eddie, have you gone nuts line, where James finally says something directly towards Eddie. And Eddie's like, I knew it. You too. Like, you're just here to make fun of me like everybody else. You're here to be aggressive towards me like everybody else. So that is an important turning point for James and Eddie. And little changes to the dialogue like this. It can matter. It's subtle, but it can matter.
You should see your face, team.
So everything that I just said where I'm kind of critical a little bit, you know, of this first part of the performance. He's kind of got the HD collection stonery delivery to him, but it's kind of in the Dave Shoffley tone almost.
You can't just kill someone because the way they looked at you.
But then this laugh.
You should see your face, dude.
He says, dude. He says, you should have seen your face, dude. I actually isolated the vocals so that we could hear it without the music, just for this scene. Because I made an edit for YouTube. But here is that audio. Like, here's their vocals without the distracting music.
Just put the gun to their head.
You can't just kill someone because the way they looked at you.
You should see your face, dude.
So, again, listening to that without the music. Try to imagine that scene in your mind with the appropriate background audio and everything instead of the kind of over the top trailer music that's going on. That sounds pretty good. That's pretty good. Again, I was pleasantly surprised by Eddie. And how he appears in the remake. I don't think he's perfect. I don't think it's quite up to the original, of course, but like, it's definitely better than I expected. Could you repeat again the scene without the music? One second. We'll do it one more time.
Just put the gun to their head.
You can't just kill someone because the way they looked at you.
You should see your face, dude.
You should see your face, dude. And I imagine I was just joking is probably the next line. But it's not bad. It's not bad. Now play the whole trailer without music. I might do that. Not on stream, but I might do that for like a YouTube video or something, just to break down the vocal performances more specifically. Take a lot of the scenes, remove the background music so we can kind of focus on the performances and compare them. Okay.
Their head.
You can't just kill someone because the way they looked at you.
It's the way they looked. James emphasizes it a lot in this too.
You can't just kill someone because the way they looked at you.
The way they looked at you. There's like a pause after he says looked. And it's funny because at this point, after hearing all of the performances and all of the characters, it's a little bit frustrating because the main characters, the characters we're going to hear the most of, which is James and Maria, are the ones that I like the least. Whereas like Eddie and Laura, even Angela somewhat, I like more than James and Maria. Angela's still a little bit less. But that's again just based on what we've seen so far in the context of what they're saying. Now again, according to like recent interviews and stuff, they're saying it's supposed to be like a 15 to 20 hour game for a first playthrough. Now I never believe those types of estimates. Obviously, it'll probably be different for people who are familiar with Silent Hill 2. Even it being a remake, it's going to have its own new puzzles and things like that. But yeah, there's certain things. But we'll see. We'll see in the context of a full game, however long it is, how these performances and things hold up. But from what I've heard in the trailers and stuff so far, James and Maria are like two of my least favorite voice performances. Eddie and Laura are probably my two favorite. And Mary.
You should see your face, Jane.
Let go!
I'm sorry, Laura, but I can't let you just run around this place. You might get hurt.
Hurt by what?
This place is different from what I remember.
So this is still the same scene, nothing different from the previous trailer. Laura, I mentioned the first time I went over the trailer showing Laura. There's some changes in dialogue and stuff that I don't really like with that scene, but for the performance, overall, I like Laura's performance. Certain things like her saying fart face so many times, it's more of the dialogue changes in those scenes with Laura that I dislike rather than her performance. Think you'll spend 15 to 20 hours in the public bathroom in the start? Yeah, true. 15 to 20 hours for me is going to be too short of an estimate. My first playthrough is going to be like 300 hours long because I'm going to be staring at every wall texture and analyzing it. But yeah.
Let go!
I'm sorry, Laura, but I can't let you
Dang, Laura.
just run around this place. You might get hurt.
Can't let you run around this place. Again, I don't like James's performance there. He like the way his tone is, the delivery going by so quick.
By what? Let go!
I'm sorry, Laura, but I can't let you just run around this place. You might
I'm sorry, Laura, but I can't just let you run around this place. It's a little too like I know the sense is urgency. But there's not that much going on right now.
Let go!
I'm sorry, Laura, but I can't let you just run around this place. You might get hurt.
Hurt by what?
Don't dislike it? No, again, it's very nitpicky. Just the delivery seems a bit off. And I like Laura's response.
This place is different from what I remember.
Angela looks different. I'm pretty sure this is an updated Angela model. Was looking at some of the little details and stuff in the character model compared to the way we saw her in previous trailers. And hair looks a little different. Face shape looks a little different. So I think this is the much more recent Angela model. Again, they've been taking feedback. They've been changing stuff. They've been really changing stuff up, polishing. If you go back and compare to like the first trailer of like the bathroom intro compared to how it looks now, it is incredibly different. And yeah, Angela is looking different now too. You can really tell by comparison, because then this little clip of James crouching down looks to be one of the older clips, because this reflection here looks to be that first trailer Angela model. So there are still some scenes in the trailer using, I think, little bits of older footage. But there's also a lot of scenes that are using newer stuff where we're seeing, I think, the more finalized models that we're going to most likely see in the release version.
I don't think she's here anymore.
Interesting line from Angela. Again, dialogue change. I don't think she's here anymore. So clearly there's a little bit more going on with Angela talking about her mother. I don't know how I feel about that. That's, again, context is going to matter. We don't even see the whole scene or anything, but I'm not sure how I feel about Angela's voice. I don't mind. Yeah, exactly. She's trying to make herself sound hoarse to sound less potentially attractive given her severe abuse. Random ass idea, but yeah. Yeah, exactly. I'm not sure what the direction or anything was. It's different. That's one of those things where I don't know if it's necessarily bad, but it's different. So it's hard for me to like barely compare it to the original, and that's why the full context is going to matter so much. We're going to need to see more. We're going to need to see more Angela.
This whole town. Might be best if you just get out of here.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right.
Look at the fucking all the gross shit on Eddie's shirt, and he's still got like puke, the marks and stuff on his eyes, on his face. Yeah, where he's clearly been like crying and rubbing his eyes. Everything's irritated. Like, Eddie looks great. Eddie looks great. And now I'm curious if they will. They knew they couldn't mess up the toilet scene. So we also, in the gameplay, we're going to watch the gameplay after we're done going through the trailer, because there's also like a 30-minute gameplay video. In the gameplay, James reaches into the toilet, where in the original you get the wallet. Now it's a required puzzle item. You get one of the hands to the clock puzzle. They made it way gross. They made it way more gross. And if they're willing to make that more gross, I wonder if they're going to make this scene with Eddie puking more gross, because that was one of the things that Team Silent wanted to do originally, and they lost footage due to a computer issue. There was like an electrical problem, and their computers lost a bunch of data that they had for the day, and they had to redo the Eddie scene. And Takayoshi Sato said in an interview that he took it as a sign from God to tone the scene down. So they toned down the Eddie puking scene compared to what it was originally supposed to be in the original game. So it makes me wonder if they maybe followed through with that vision a little bit more for the remake and made this grosser.
Yeah, you're right.
You said you took everything, but you forgot that videotape we made.
How do you know about that?
Again, these performances.
You said you took everything, but you forgot that videotape we made.
This is supposed to be Mary. This is supposed to be invoking the feeling of Mary talking to James. In the original It's supposed to sound very sweet, very inviting. You said you took everything, but you forgot that videotape we made. Like, it's supposed to be his sweet, loving wife, Mary. It's not supposed to sound creepy. It's not supposed to sound intimidating. It's not supposed to be Maria.
You said you took everything, but you forgot that videotape we made.
See? She's putting on that lower tone. The Maria voice during what should be a Mary line. It's a little off. A little off. Death Tropes, thank you so much for the raid. Yeah, definitely shout out to Death Tropes for those of you not already following Death Tropes. Amazing, amazing streamer. Really, really talented Silent Hill speedrunner. Thank you so much for the raid. Just got done doing this too. Oh boy. I mean, welcome everybody. I'm Nub Zombie. I'm a huge Silent Hill fan. I speedrun and do in-depth story stuff for every game in the franchise, everything in the Silent Hill franchise. And we're talking about the new Silent Hill stuff. There's a lot to unpack, but at the very least, like, I'm way more optimistic about this overall than I was like originally. I'm still not overexcited. I don't think it's going to be like living up to the original, but I don't think it's going to be a dumpster fire either. Which is good. We could use a few less dumpster fires in this franchise. And if this could be the first Bloober game that I don't hate, that would be awesome. Because I am not a fan of their games. I've played all of their games, and yeah, maybe this will be the first one that I actually like. Even if I don't like it as much as the original, it's shaping up to be, you know, like I said, not horrible. But yeah, welcome to the dissection. We're going through it.
You said you took everything, but you forgot that videotape we made.
Yeah, that performance for Maria is slightly off. Again, certain lines, that's supposed to sound like Mary. She's saying something that is a memory that belongs to Mary, that she's supposed to be invoking that out of James and not sounding quite so threatening.
How do you know about that? Aren't you Maria?
I'm not your Mary.
Their lead producer dropped reimagining in an interview, so I immediately lost all hope. I mean, it's not the first time. It's not the first time that they've used that, actually. And they mentioned in earlier interviews, as much as like a year ago, that this is Silent Hill 2 sort of the way they remember it in their minds. It's not a one-for-one recreation. They're quote unquote being respectful to the original while still showing it through their own lens, which in a lot of ways is a reimagining. But we'll see how much actually is altered or changed, how much is added, if anything's taken away. It's hard to tell because, you know, even with all these trailers, we're looking at 30 minutes of gameplay footage and what, 6 to 8 minutes of cutscenes in what's supposed to be a like 15 to 20 hour content game. Does her forearm look super long, or is that just me? Again, I talked about this at the start, but yeah, her proportions, I don't know if it's just the camera or the way it's zoomed, if there's some sort of like fisheye or stretch effect on it slightly, but stuff looks subtly off. not in like a good Silent Hill way for things to be subtly off. Like she's not actually sitting in the chair. Yeah, just like her body proportions look a little bit off. I don't know, something about it looks a little strange. A lot of these little areas. Hard to tell exactly where these are even going to be. This could be a part of the labyrinth towards the end. This could be... We've seen some similar imagery in the Abstract Daddy boss fight. I think this might be where the Abstract Daddy busts through the wall for that boss fight, because they redid the boss fights and stuff.
So you are Maria.
I am. If you want me to be.
Again, the Maria performance compared to the original, that's supposed to be Mary slipping back into Maria. I am, if you want me to be. Like, the I am is supposed to still sound that like that slightly sweet Mary voice, and then the if you want me to be is supposed to start slipping back into the sultry Maria voice. All of this comes off a little too flat. Her performance for this scene, like other scenes, she sounds better. This scene was just so important, and it sounds off.
You are Maria.
I am. If you want me to be.
How do you know about Mary?
I can't believe they showed this. Out of everything we've seen so far in the trailers, I'm honestly surprised they showed any of this scene.
You see it too?
And we hear Angela, you see it too. Like, we even say the line.
You see it too?
Yeah, and again, going back to Angela having a little bit newer model. This looks like, again, that newer Angela model. This does not look like the same Angela model from the first Angela reveal trailer. Body proportions and stuff are different. Face shape, the hair style is a little different.
You see it too?
Real subtle things, but they definitely went back through and polished a lot of the character models.
You see it too?
Yeah, Angela's delivery. It's hard to tell with all the background music and everything else. And again, we need the full context. I'm going to sound like a broken record saying that over and over, but it is what it is. But yeah, Angela's voice, the delivery there, you see it too, doesn't sound quite so impactful.
About Mary.
You see it too?
Again, it's that forced kind of vocal fry. I like it. She sounds defeated. I think it sounded a little more natural. Her defeated tone, Donna Burke's performance in the original, but that one was also contextually a lot more over the top. So we're kind of toning down a lot of those more over the top performances, but some of them needed to be. Some of them needed that kind of extra edge to it.
You see it too? For me, it's always like this.
For me, it's always like this. It's not bad. I'm trying to be as nitpicky, as hypercritical. If anything stands out to me at all, I'm trying to share it with you guys, no matter how small or big. Even if it's something that doesn't bother you at all, I'm just trying to point things out. And performance there definitely stands out to me. A little bit flat.
Doesn't matter who I am. I am here for you, James.
Again, she's doing the wrong part, the wrong voice for the wrong line. You're doing the Mary voice when you should be doing the Maria voice, and the Maria voice when you should be doing the Mary voice. It's like she got the direction a little bit backwards.
I am here for you, James.
Because remember, in the original, this is not Mary having a sweet romantic moment with James. This is Maria leading up to, I can't do anything through these bars. That's why in the original performance, this is where it starts sounding sultry, almost with a hint of like threatening sound to it, you know? And this is a little, she's kind of putting on the sweeter Mary tone.
I am here for you, James. See? I'm real.
I'm real. I like this shot. Yeah, Legate. I like the reflection of him in the TV screen. Little things like that.
See? I'm real.
Yeah. That stuff looks great, but
Doesn't matter who I am.
yeah, these performances. She looks like this close-up where you're not seeing kind of the stranger proportions that were kind of distracting me. Looks better. Like just having this closer shot on her face. It's just the voice performance.
I am here for you, James.
And again, it's not terrible.
See?
It's better than the HD collection. I know that's not much of a bar. I know that's not much of a standard. I still obviously prefer the originals, but it's not horrible. It doesn't grate on my ears or anything. It just tonally comes off as not understanding that scene, which is a little worrisome. Those are why I'm not just dropping all over myself the way a lot of other fans are and just being like, oh my god, it looks amazing, everything looks great, I can't wait to play it, it's going to be great. Because visually, yeah, it looks great. And I've said from the very, very beginning, Bloober Team can do visuals. Bloober Team, that's the thing that they have made a name for themselves over, is they can do visuals. They can do really good visual effects. And I never thought this game would look ugly or bad. So I get that a lot of people are just going to see it on a visual level and just be like, I'm sold. Looks good. And that's fine. But again, for me, I'm the like hardest target audience member to try to impress. The long time diehard fan from the very beginning. And like I said, I'm going to be a lot more critical of things maybe compared to a lot of other fans because of that. But in general, cautiously optimistic, still cautiously optimistic, feeling better about it after the newest trailer and gameplay. Still some things I'm unsure of. Some of those performances are a little lackluster. Still some visual things that seem a little bit off. But overall, it seems like Bloober is trying. I think it feels like they tried. It doesn't feel like they slapped something together for a paycheck. I will say that. This could have absolutely felt like a slap together, like Book of Memories. Way Forward was slapping something together for a paycheck. Ascension, people slapping shit together for a paycheck. This feels like a fan game. This feels like a fan-made Silent Hill 2 remake that Konami basically published. That's kind of what it is at the end of the day. And it was fans who like clearly have passion and love for the game, but maybe didn't fully understand it the way a lot of fans are. Not just for Silent Hill, but for a lot of things out there. Not everybody is going to fucking delve into all the little minutia the way I do, the way a lot of us, us here do. You can be a fan of things and not be super knowledgeable about them, That is perfectly fine. And that's kind of the way this comes off. It was made by people who are clearly passionate about it, just maybe not the most knowledgeable. And they still did their best. And one of the other things, feedback. It really feels like they are responding to feedback. It really seems like they are taking people's comments and criticisms to heart. And just the amount of change from the previous trailers to this is noticeable. It's noticeable that they've taken the criticism that people have had so far to heart and have been trying to change and polish what they can before release. It's clear that they're not just ignoring the fan base and saying, we're going to slap together what we're going to put together and you just have to deal with it. They are responding to people. This is a response. This trailer and this gameplay footage that got released is a response to the critics to be like, look, we're listening. You might not love everything. You're not going to please everybody. But this is like Bloober saying we're trying. Compared with the recent interview where the head of Bloober team was like, we're basically begging you to give us a chance to give Silent Hill 2 Remake. Like literally put out an interview that was essentially, we're begging you to give Silent Hill 2 Remake a chance. I think that's coming from a genuine place. I don't, like I said, it doesn't feel like a cash grab, which a lot of remakes very, very easily do feel that way. Obviously, I'm going to give this game a chance. I've dedicated so much of my life to this franchise at this point. What do they call that? The sunken cost fallacy. I've put too much into this franchise anymore that I'm going to cover anything they shit out at this point. So good or bad, I'm going to be here playing and talking about Silent Hill. But in general, as a fan, even if I wasn't, a streamer, if I wasn't doing all this other stuff, I would probably still get this game. I would probably still give him a chance. Again, cautiously optimistic. I'm not expecting this to live up to the original, but it at least looks like it will have some interesting stuff in it. Should I get the PC or console version of this game? Honestly, I think that comes down to how good of a PC you've got. Check the recommended specs on Steam and see how well your computer compares. and if you've got a beefier computer, it's probably going to be better on PC, but who knows? At this point, we don't know anything. And with games these days, like, you never know. I'm thinking about like when Death Stranding came out, the console version was so much more stable compared to the PC version for such a long time. It took so long for the PC version of Death Stranding to get optimized to run as nicely as it did on console. And then once it was optimized, the PC became the better way to play, but that took like 10 months, you know? So it's hard to say. At launch, console might be the better way to go, and then PC might become the better thing once it's sort of optimized, because no games release these days that don't get patched or updated. So yeah, it's difficult to say. It's difficult to say. I'm getting both versions so that I can cover everything. I intend to speedrun the game, so if there is like a benefit to running one version or the other, I'm going to need to test things and compare things between the versions. So I'm getting both versions regardless. So we'll see how things are. PC will be better in the long run, but will probably be buggy day one. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm anticipating, Walter. Konami's got a pretty bad track record when it comes to PC ports. Like, Konami really sucks with their PC ports. Bloober Team, I don't know. I've never played any of the Bloober Team games on a console. I don't think. I think I've always played the PC ports, and I've always played them well after they've released, with the exception of like Layers of Fear 2 Remake, or the Layers of Fears, whatever. The Layers of Fear 2021, whenever the fuck that came out. I played that one like on launch. Okay. That's it for the trailer. I'm going to take a really short break. So we've got like 25 minutes or something. 27 minutes of Silent Hill 2 Remake gameplay footage here. Look how different this is compared to the first trailer we saw of this scene. Look how different he looks. This motion with his hand is more accurate to the original now. The lighting is more accurate to the original now. It's crazy how different this is. This should have been the first thing we ever saw. We should have never seen those earlier trailers.
Mary. Could you really be in this town?
The handshake, he's a man who's struggling. Now, I will say, I still think that is a little too much. I think that's a little too obvious. I don't think you're supposed to be able to glean that off of James quite so soon. But again, context of the full game is going to be important for things like that. Again, Bloober visuals, most of this looks pretty good. Few small complaints. The weird little outline effect ghosting thing on character models during the gameplay. Kind of keep an eye out for that. It sticks out to me. Minor things, but I just want to cover everything, all my opinions on this stuff. Little tiny visuals look strange. There's like a weird effect going on over here with the puddles and these little particles. I think they're supposed to be like leaves blowing around in the environment that do this weird little trailing thing. A lot of this stuff, again, I've seen in previous Bloober games, so I think that's just kind of, I don't know, a visual side effect of how they do certain things, layer certain visuals. Little things like this, these water droplets coming off of this, like they don't quite.
In my restless dreams, I see.
Like that could be hidden behind this plane to look a little bit more natural instead of kind of falling out of nowhere. Very minor details, super nitpicky stuff. Overall, this looks great. This looks great. But yeah, few little strange effects here and there, little things that stand out. Just because I have a tendency to look at all the little details like that. Also, maybe it's just me, maybe it's just generic woods or whatever, but I feel such a Bloober Blair Witch vibe from the woods and this whole scene. Feels very much like the start of the Bloober Team Blair Witch game, to the point where I want to go back and look at my footage from when I played that and see if some of these assets are reused, because I think some of them are. Where's the lake backdrop? Yeah, the backdrop, you don't really get that nice view of Toluca, right?
That town. Silent Hill. You promised you'd take me there again someday. But you never did. Well, I'm alone there now. In
I'll
our
turn this up a
special
little bit more.
place, waiting for you.
Salome, her performance so far as Mary, I really enjoy. Her reading this little part of the letter sounds good. I don't like her performance as Maria, but her Mary voice, I think, is really good.
You promised you'd take me there again someday. But you never did.
Yeah, see the little leaves? There's like a
Well,
weird ghosting
I'm
thing going on
alone
with them
there
by the
now.
car.
In our special place, waiting for you.
Minor stuff. I love the mandolin coming in on this arrangement of the song.
I got a letter. The name on the envelope said Mary. My wife's name.
I like so much about the side characters. Why does James sound so off? Like, I'm trying to put my finger on it. Like, something about it. When he tries to do this deeper voice, it just doesn't sound right.
Got a letter. The name on the envelope said Mary. My wife's name.
He has like a higher, more natural tone in his voice later.
Couldn't possibly be true.
But when he does this deeper voice, exactly,
what
it's
I keep
Draknor.
telling
It sounds like he's trying to do kind of a Troy Baker.
Mary died of
It sounds
that
almost like
disease
he's
3
kind of
years
trying
ago.
to do an HD collection Troy.
So then why am I looking for her?
Whereas
Our special
when his
place.
tones are a little more natural, a little
What does
higher,
it mean? This whole town was our special place.
it sounds better.
Could Mary
really be here? Is she really alive? Waiting for me?
Think a 3070 will be able to run this well at 1080p? Probably 1080p 60. I doubt if you'll get much smoother performance beyond that, but again, it's going to come down to optimization. Okay, so we go straight from scene into gameplay. And player control camera. James still doesn't have patches on his jacket. We're still speculating that that might be like a thing. He gets patches as you get endings or something. As you get achievements. Got that 1977 Pontiac Ventura. Same license plate even. The 000 THZ. You can see into the back seat. Look right there. Look right there. So you can see where the headrest is. You can see where the back of the seats are supposed to be. You can see where the front seats are supposed to be. This looks like a blanket on top of something in the back seat. Not the trunk, Santi. A lot of people, so many people have that fact incorrect. Masahiro Ito has gone on record many, many, many times. Guy Sihi has gone on record. Back seat, not trunk. Mary's body was intended in the original. It was not rendered. It was not something there for the player to see, but it was the creator's intentions that James drove to Silent Hill with Mary's body in the back seat of his car to kill himself. Like, that was what he was going to do. That is where her body was. So, getting a little glimpse of something like this. What if Ito lied? Then there has been like 15 or so years since I think the first time he tweeted about Mary's body. That was, no, not quite that long ago. 13 years. It was like 2011. There's been that many years that he's been lying that several other members of Team Silent could have said that's not true and corrected the record, and nobody has. Instead, people have only corroborated with that. Statistically, very few new players will pick up on that, and that's fine. You don't lose anything from your understanding of the story knowing what's in the back seat or not. Nobody knew that for sure from 2001 when the original game came out until 2011 or whatever when Ito confirmed it. It was a fan theory for a long time. But it wasn't confirmed until, way later. So even in the context of the original game, it's not like people knew for sure. Not until, over a decade later. But it's interesting if they do acknowledge something like this. But to me, you can see, like, again, where the seats are, the shape of the car, where the back seat is. This looks like something laying on the seat under a blanket, which is exactly how Masahiro Ito described James putting Mary's body in the back seat on Twitter. that she would be laying down with a blanket on her. I can probably pull up the tweet. Hold on. I might have that because I've been editing together a Silent Hill 2 iceberg video, and that is one of the points on the iceberg that I talk about. So I might have, some Ito. Some Ito tweets. Here it is. February 4th, 2023, Masahiro Ito. Some have insisted that if there is Mary's dead body on the back seat, James will notice her immediately. If she is sitting on it, I will think so too. But if her body is laying down and covered with a blanket, he will not notice immediately. Mary's body was on the rear seat. If her dead body had been in the trunk, James wouldn't have loved her so much and searched for her without regard to danger or committed suicide by drowning. He put the body on the rear seat because he still loved her. And again, Guy Sihi corroborates that information in a playthrough / interview with Fungo many years back, where he confirmed the Japanese phenomenon known as Muri Shinju, which is sort of like a lover's murder-suicide that dates all the way back to like the Edo period. Where it is you treat your loved one with love and respect even after killing them. It's a strange concept for a lot of cultures to understand, but that is an intentional thing from the developers. Mary's body in that back seat. So the fact that we have Ito making that tweet back in 2023 when he was, actively working on this. And then we see this. Then we see this. I feel like that's not nothing. Could be nothing, but I feel like this is an intentional little glimpse. I don't think they're going to make it where you can really clearly see too much, but do you think we'll be able to get a better look at it? I think they're going to really limit what you can see here. This is probably like the most you're realistically going to be able to see. I would hope. I would hope they don't make it super obvious. Even having this little bit visible is probably questionable to a lot of fans, because compared to the original where it's not shown at all, it is only implied. That's kind of, an important part of what the original team wanted to do with that information. Like, they could have made it more obvious in the original if they wanted to, and they didn't. And that must have been for a reason. Now, whether that was like, there's different kind of variations on that. Again, we've got some quotes from Masahiro Ito to kind of put that into context, where Ito put it very bluntly, which is basically, if we had put the body in the back seat, the game would have ended right there. Like, that was kind of his comment about it on Twitter. Like, from a storytelling standpoint and from a gameplay standpoint, you can't just have her visible there. So, might be a little bit too much putting this here. Hopefully they keep it subtle. Because when you actually get to the side here, it's like tinted. It's too dark. You can't really see. So they don't give you a good look through like the back window or through this. Can we see the car model? It's a Pontiac Ventura. It's not like exactly licensed, they didn't get permission, but it is very, very clearly modeled after a 70s era Pontiac Ventura. Same as the original. Map in the car. Map in the car. So, who is it? Which one of you is the Bloober Team employee watching my streams? Because I'm pretty sure I'm like the only person Out of all the things to complain about with the original trailers, I'm fairly certain I'm the only content creator who pointed out the detail of James not having the map in the car with him, and that changes the idea of his intent coming to the town. And suddenly, he's got a map in the car. Suddenly, we're picking up maps out of the car. Because when you look at this design for this, like observatory area from the observation deck from the original trailers, remember we see James walk past a stand with a map on it, and I made a big deal about, oh, there's a stand with a map here, like he just gets the map. That changes the intention. Like James had the map with him because he had the intention of coming here. It's supposed to show that like he didn't just wind up here and grab the map after the fact. He planned on it. He was prepared to be here. And now the map is gone. The map stand is gone, and he grabs the map out of the car. What's interesting to me is the map is like split up. So you pick up the first part of the map in the car, and then you grab another map off of a map stand for like South Vale. Or excuse me, you get South Vale right here out of the car. And then you get the map of the rest of the town once, like off of a map stand later. So they do both. It's very strange. But the fact that this changed, and I'm like the only person in the world who cared about that detail, I'm like, come on, fess up. Who's the bloober spy? Again, stuff like this shot here looks great. Eddie's van hanging out in the background, Pete's Bolorama. A lot of these textures and stuff in the background, it looks so much like the original that I don't know if they just took the original textures and like up-resed them, AI enhanced them, or if they really faithfully recreated them at higher resolutions or what. But this is like identical to the original asset. A lot of these billboards and wall textures and stuff are like literally identical, which is really, really insane attention to detail, which is good. It's good. I might not care for everything that Bloober Team does with this project, but like, again, I'm going to give them props where props are due. And like, this stuff looks great. James's walking animation looks a little stiff. Like, the more obvious thing on the screen, he sort of walks with like a weird angle. His left shoulder's sort of forward. He's almost like diagonally strafing. And it reminds me a lot of so much of the movement and combat in this remind me so much of Silent Hill Homecoming. And that is not a good thing. That's not the game that you want to aspire to when it comes to like controls and combat. Now, for the Silent Hill series, those aspects are not the thing that I'm the most focused on. I can overlook a lot of that as long as like story and characters are done well, because that's what I put most of my focus in, as well as the environments and stuff like that. I tend to, those are the things I enjoy the most. But yeah, things like James's animations, some of these like walking animations, and when we get to the combat and stuff later, I said it's like a cross between Homecoming and Downpour. See this little part right here, I swear this looks like right out of Blair Witch. This looks right out of the Bluebird Blair Witch thing. These little picnic tables, and like this little scene here. I'm like waiting for the dog to jump out and run off. Stuff like this. I mentioned it in earlier gameplay videos, but the walking to running. It's very strange. It's very abrupt. It's not like the smoothest transition in the animation department, but again, not super minor nitpicky stuff at this point. Lag. God, I hope not. I hope there's not like input lag. That was like a Downpour thing, and Homecoming, where they've got weird input lag. Origins had that problem too, where you'd press the run button and the game would wait like 0.8 seconds before you actually start running. Is this PS5 release or PC2? PS5 and PC are both releasing at the same time. Timed exclusive PS5, so it'll probably be on Xbox sometime later, but that has not been confirmed yet. The only thing that's been confirmed so far is PC and PS5, and they both come out same time, October 8th or October 6th if you have premium edition or deluxe or whatever for early access. Again, kind of a weird little outline on characters, some ghosting effects on things in the background, some minor things on visuals, but otherwise, stuff looks okay. A little bit of a complaint on the fog as well. It's not as bad as like the HD collection, where you had this really harsh line where you could see the fog effect like where it was around you. But the more you see James moving, especially kind of once you get into him moving through the town segments a little later, but you can see it a bit here too. You can kind of see the fog effect like moving with James. It's blended better. Like I said, it's not like a harsh line the way it looked like on the HD collection, but you see there's almost like a bubble around him. You don't really feel like you're running into the fog that's in front of you. You sort of feel like it's always kind of clearing a little bit around you. Minor things, and that's not like a bug or a thing like that. I think that's just a visual choice. I think if I were in charge, I would make the fog a little thicker, seem like it's right up around you, a little more claustrophobic, rather than giving you this sort of wide berth. Like, obviously your vision and everything is still very limited, but just kind of like right around here, this sort of edge where the fog sort of clears as you move. It's a little too much. Really want to be surrounded by that fog. Look how glowy. They really, really brought up the lighting, the glowing on the save points. It was confirmed also by some of the people who played this early version at the Konami event a couple of weeks ago that these red square save points are the only save points. It's your only method of saving. So it will not have like autosave. It will not have like things like that. You're still going to have to like save at save points. Then what's the autosave looking thing that pops up? Loading. that is your do not turn off the system when you see this icon. That's your loading icon. Remember, Downpour did that too. The Downpour icon. Again, there's the Roadrunner. Identical to the original texture. A lot of these signs and stuff, it looks so close. They did a really good job with a lot of those assets. Again, I don't know if they actually used the original assets or if they just took them and recreated them in higher resolution or what, but they look great. Yeah, the animations still look very strange. See, stuff like this, Now, if you ever just people watch, if you ever just sit around and watch regular people, not actors, not movies, not TV shows, but just real people out there, human beings are fucking stupid looking. Like, we look stupid when we walk, we look stupid when we run, unless you're like a professional athlete, you're not always going to look graceful or anything, or natural, I guess, when you move. But certain things just look awkward to me. Not in a good way. There's a certain level of awkward you can even get away with Silent Hill. Like, it allows so much wiggle room for awkward. But it needs to be very specific circumstances and framed in particular ways. And again, shots like this of James just walking up to this board, I start getting flashbacks to like Homecoming, of like Alex walking up to the missing persons board when Elle falls off the ladder. The animations just look so kind of robotic, animatronic, very stiff, very unnatural. It's the swinging his hands in unison, like both arms are like swinging back and forth together. You don't have like, I don't know, kind of when you naturally walk, you tend to kind of put, your dominant foot forward and your right side of your body kind of moves with it. So like your hands, if you're just kind of hanging them loosely at your sides, you'll put like your right foot forward, your right hand forward, left foot forward, left hand forward. And you kind of alternate as your body shifts from your weight from your left to your right foot. And yeah, he like swings both of his hands together like there's an invisible rod like attaching. He's like a marionette sort of dawdling up to this sign. Certain things like that just look strange. Also, does his hand fucking... What the fuck? What the fuck? I didn't... Got some gross looking... Withers. He's got Withers hands. See, this is how, like, if I was in charge of art direction, that's how the fog should look all the time when you're walking through it. Like this. Like, you should feel like it's right fucking up around you. Not quite, like, smoked over, like this full effect, but... What's the point of giving you a separate map for the first, 15 minutes? That's a great question. And if it would only make sense if they deliberately changed giving James a map in his car because someone specifically complained about it. So they're like, fine, we'll give him a map in his car, but we also have the map post. They just really wanted to use that map post. I don't know. Maybe. Really don't like the item pickup messages. So, an interview with Matoyo Okamoto did say that a lot of the UI elements you will be able to turn off. I don't know if that's going to be like everything, including messages and stuff. Because I agree, if I could turn a lot of that off, I would. But I think the injury overlays and the interactable item overlays and stuff like that, you can turn off. You'll be able to turn that stuff off. So that was something I complained about in my thoughts on Remake video a while back. And there was an interview with Matoyo Okamoto like a week after that I made that video. And he said, yeah, you'd be able to turn all of that stuff off. Is that like this? These little icons, you'll be able to turn these off. I think they changed this note. I remember there was like something that didn't sound natural in the English, like in the writing originally. If you're reading this, leave. This place is not what it seems. Sometimes you just have to look behind. It was this. I don't think this originally said sometimes you just have to look behind. I think it said a slightly more awkwardly worded version of that got changed. One of those things that seemed like maybe you know, it's a Polish studio. Polish and Japanese dev team. But it seems like they went back and adjusted some of the like awkward English translation stuff. Also, so now we're kind of getting into the streets. You can see that's, whoops. We've got Cat Street. You can see the little gate open here with the save point on the right. Again, really, really bright. How bright this is. The save points are so glowy. Look at him go. Lying figure. Added some new little scares and things. Martin Street. Intersection of Martin Street and Cat Street. Andy's Bookstore. I'm trying to remember. Let me pull up Silent Hill OG map. Isn't Andy's Bookstore on the other side of Silent Hill? It's in the area, like you go into Andy's Bookstore in Silent Hill Origins, and it's in Silent Hill 1, but you don't go inside of it. Like, isn't it not here? Isn't it not in this part of the town? This is one of those, like, slight location changes. Yeah. In the original, Andy's Books is not here. Wait. Yeah. Bookstore located on Coon Street, Central Silent Hill district of Silent Hill, found in front of Alchemilla Hospital in Silent Hill 1 and Silent Hill Origins. Inaccessible in the first game, Travis Grady takes a detour on the Riverside Motel. And there's a puzzle you have to solve there, the cash register puzzle. And it's where you pick up the automatic rifle. But, yeah. Little changes like this. They're putting locations and things from Silent Hill 1 into parts of the town that you explore in Silent Hill 2. There's also 8 Mart. 8 Mart, which is the like 7-Eleven, the convenience store in Silent Hill 1. You start the game like right next to it. It's where you pick up the blue gem in Silent Hill 1. 8 Mart is referenced in Silent Hill 2 Remake. The gun, when you pick up the gun in the apartments in the shopping cart, it's an 8 Mart logo on the shopping cart. Squishy Chameleon. You went and checked the trailer from 2 months ago. So that note that I commented on, this one. So this is what it says now. It used to say, if you're reading this, leave. This place is not what it seems. There is another side to it hidden behind a rest, thin as a paper. Sometimes sometimes you just here to look behind. So yeah, it had like really awkward writing, and now this is this flows better, much more natural. So yeah, it looks like they've done some more pass-throughs on notes and puzzles and things, translation stuff. So that's good. I wonder if this could also be riddle difficulty. I wonder if we might also be seeing a difference in riddle difficulty. Because this is technically part of a puzzle now. This is part of like an overarching puzzle, because this has new puzzles added. And they're very like Downpour style, where you'll explore the town, you'll go into a location, you'll find a note, you'll find an item, and it'll tell you to like go to another location on the other side of town. You'll go there and you get another little piece of the puzzle, and that'll tell you to go somewhere else. So you kind of have these like side quests that send you all over town. So this little pickup here is part of a riddle, and they confirmed recently that there will be different difficulty levels for action and for riddle, just like the original. So we might be seeing just a note that got polished as far as translation, or we might be seeing maybe the original trailer was like a different difficulty, different riddle difficulty compared to this one. Yeah, Zekral, this will be archived. It'll be on my YouTube right after the stream. Hey, Redgrave. The Texan Cafe. And I guess this is like their delivery car. Mm-hmm. It says Texan on the outside. Oh boy. Oh boy. So, I will say the animations and stuff don't look quite as rough as they did the last combat trailer that we saw. It looks like those have been polished up a little bit, but things still look awkward. The camera shake. Again, settings that I really hope you can turn off, or people will make a mod that takes it out or whatever, but yeah, the little camera shake, that rapid camera shake every time there's an impact. I hate that shit. I hate that shit. And I know a lot of people who can't play games that do that just because it makes them physically nauseous. Thankfully, it doesn't affect me that bad. It's just annoying to look at. But yeah, I hope that's something that can be toggled off. What's with that last scream? Yeah. He really puts everything into it. Um Again, it's given me flashbacks to Downpour. Murphy screams. On the one hand, I like it. I want the character to emote. I want them to, like, if you're in a panicked situation and you're fighting stuff, crazy monster things, like you're scared and you're in fight or flight, you're gonna make some noises that you would never expect yourself to make. You're gonna hit pitches in your voice you didn't think you could hit. When you're put into those kind of situations. And on the one hand, like, I like that they are trying to show that aspect in that, where it could just be really, it could sound boring and monotone and just like, but he's putting some effort into it. It's not the most distracting thing, but it stands out a little bit. I have noticed. So you can go inside places. You can explore the town and go inside locations. You can't go in everywhere, but you can go into a whole lot of places that you couldn't before. And out of everything that I've seen in the game so far, that is probably the thing I'm the most excited about, is just exploring these areas and looking at details. If I've got stuff to look at and stuff to explore, and it's satisfying to explore, that alone will put this above so many other things. Because again, like, Downpour tried to kind of do that, but the problem with Downpour was that it was so unrewarding, so unsatisfying to explore and go in places, because the first few times you're like, oh shit, wow, I can just walk into this house? That's cool. Walk upstairs. Let's see what's in this bedroom. Here's a messed up bed. Here's a desk with 4 drawers in it. Here's a desk with this cup of pens on it and a box of bullets. Here's a monster where I'm going to use the bullets that I just picked up along with a health kit that I brought. So I'm technically down more resources than I started with when I started exploring, and the rewards that you get for exploring. And then there's a side quest, and you'll do the side quest, and it has nothing to do with the main story. And most of them are not very interesting. A couple of them are. And again, your rewards are usually not even as good as the resources that you spend getting through the side quest and like fighting enemies. And you're going to spend more bullets than what you find. You're going to find a weapon that's not as good as the one that you brought, because you can only hold 2 weapons in that game. So like, Downpour tried to do the exploration thing and then failed massively at it, because once you explore the first few places and do the first few quests, you realize like, oh, all these houses that I go into are basically just the same assets rearranged. All of these staircases and paintings and desks and messed up beds and windows are all exactly the same, just rearranged in different ways with different enemies and different items, and it just became so monotonous and so boring. It's like, what's the fucking point? Like, yeah, you gave us all this stuff to explore and you made it as boring as fucking possible. That was my problem with Downpour's exploration. This, if all of these areas actually are unique with interesting things in them, interesting assets that aren't just constantly copy pasted in every other location that you can explore, if there are unique little puzzles and things to do in all of these locations, man, that'll be so good. That'll get many points in my book, because that's the kind of shit that I love in games in general. Look at that. The Texan bar. Well, you got the bar, you got some little restaurant tables, deer head, America. And then there's stuff like this where, again, it's like, you're going in the diner and reaching into the cash register and grabbing the token. And I'm like, no, it is downpour. It's literally downpour. Don't do it that closely. So that's like the exact start of downpour. After you encounter Howard the first time, you go through the diner, you can pick up the coins. Just got to point out the music and stuff here while you're exploring. It's like the original ambient background audio and tracks. A lot of it is rearranged. Basically all of it's rearranged by Yamaoka, but some of it is closer to the original than others, to the point where it sounds almost just identical to the original. And yeah, the ambient music right now is, again, almost identical to the original. Neighborhood cafe, again, all these little locations and stuff from the original game, that the signs look identical to those original assets. I'm legitimately impressed. Not with everything, but certain details. Certain details, definitely. The way even just these little environments look, with all the fucking like trash, the pallets and barrels and tires and like these old plastic chairs. It's not just the same sort of stuff. There's all types of garbage and shit everywhere. There's a lot of variation in all these little assets, with how dirty everything, how fucked up all these little areas look. The environments look good. Not a fan of these bug things. So, I mean, they are called creepers, and they go all the way back to Silent Hill 1. Gotta have your Silent Hill bug enemy. I'm also not a fan of them, especially in the original. I will say, this right here, a lot of people might not pick up on if you're not a lot more familiar with Silent Hill 2 and its combat. Silent Hill 2 original. You cannot do this with the wooden plank. You cannot smack these things. You can't just hit them like this in the original. You very specifically had to like struggle to shoot them or stomp them. And it was almost impossible to like walk up and stomp them without them biting you first and doing a little bit of damage. On hard mode, they actually do a significant bit of damage. But yeah, the bugs in Silent Hill 2 can be super, super annoying. Most of the time, yeah, you just want to run. That's almost always the best thing to do. I think optimally playing through Silent Hill 2, you only really need to kill something like 8 or 9 enemies. Like, even less, technically. You can get away with killing way less than that, even. But playing sort of normally and just running when you can and only fighting what you absolutely have to fight, you barely have to fight at all in the original. So running is going to be the situation that you want to do. But this is interesting because it's a new mechanic. It's a new thing that you couldn't do originally. You couldn't just smack them with your wooden plank. So at the very least, as annoying as they were in the original, you have more options to deal with them now. So that's nice. Nutrition supplement. For adults only. Keep out of the reach of children. You got the item noises. That was something that I complained about earlier. Oh yeah, you can see the leaf. That happens a lot with these particle effects in the background. But there, you get the item pickup noise. I've noticed there is like a unique item pickup noise for each type of item. So you've got the health item pickup noise, puzzle item pickup noise, weapon pickup noise, ammo pickup noise. They all sort of have a sound. And so far, most of them I'm okay with. Some of them sound like the original, like this one. It's very similar to the original. It's like a slightly different pitch. It's a little bit higher pitched, a little bit faster. But I'm still happy to hear those little little UI, little menu noises. I love groovy music. Another location in the original that they kept looking almost identical to the way that it looked in the original. They also went back and changed out a lot of these models. Instead of just reusing the Eddie van over and over, they made it different colors so that you've got a distinct white Eddie's van up at the start at the observation deck, and all of the other vans in town don't just look identical to it. Thoughts on fog thickness, Nub? I talked about it earlier, but not thick enough. Extra thick with 3 C's. You can just walk into I Love Groovy Music. I love it. And it looks like the record store from High Fidelity. John Cusack's going to come out and yell at me. Yeah, it's loading. There's your little loading icon. So 9 red squares is saving. Red squares are saving. White squares are loading. Another place you can go in marked with noisemakers. Yes, that was something I wanted to point out. The first place, the Texan restaurant, had the like cowbells hanging out front. Here, you've got the triangles. So they give you audio clues to help direct you towards which locations you can go inside. Smart. I like the environmental thoughtfulness of stuff like that. All of this, Okamoto said you can turn off, and I really hope that's, true. Because, yeah, this is going to be the first thing that I do in the settings, is go and turn this shit off. Combat still seems clunky. Again, the way the dodges look, the way the sidestepping and strafing and hitting and comboing is very, very Homecoming. Very, very Homecoming-esque. Not my favorite. Not my favorite. Would not be the direction that I would personally want to go with combat. But at the same time, combat is not the main focus of this game. Silent Hill has never really been focused around the combat aspects. They've always been just sort of a necessary kind of gameplay element. So much so that we've got Silent Hill games with absolutely zero combat. Shattered Memories, out of all the Western games, is one of the ones that I like more than others, and there's no combat at all in that game. So like, combat doesn't make or break a Silent Hill game for me. Even though the combat in this doesn't look great, it also doesn't look horrible. It's definitely not the worst I've seen, but it's something that is hard to judge from footage like this, because so much of this is going to depend on like how it feels when it's in your hands, when you're actually playing it, when you've got your controller in your hand and you're sitting in front of your TV. How much delay is there between pushing the button and James dodging? And we get a little bit of a sense of some of this stuff later on, but like, how much invulnerability does he have during that dodge, and things like that is going to take some getting used to. How much recovery does he have on his swings? We only see him use like 3 weapons in all of the footage we've seen so far: the wooden plank, the steel pipe, and the handgun, I think, is all we've seen. Maybe a shotgun. Has he also, I think, maybe used a shotgun. But until we see kind of the variation, how things look and feel with all the weapons, it's hard to really judge gameplay. But yeah, personally, not a fan of the dodging and the way the combat looks right now. Very Homecoming-esque, which I'm not a fan of Homecoming's combat. So, speaking of Homecoming, this, I just want to take and do a side-by-side shot comparison, because in the intro of Silent Hill Homecoming, during the nightmare sequence, Alex has to run up to a big glass window like this, break it, jump to the other side, and then there are some nurses there that attack him. And it looks identical to this. It is like, I want to put it side by side because I'm like, I swear it's the same animation. It's so similar. It's very strange how certain things are just like, oh wow, we're doing something that this is supposed to be reminding me of Silent Hill 2, not Silent Hill Homecoming. And this is such a Homecoming thing. Finally, some glue. Yummy, you can eat. The janitor came in the other day, drunk and in tears, had half a record with him, kept yelling, "We gotta fix it somehow." I was willing to do it just to shut him up, so I got up to get the glue from the cabinet, but then he realized he only had the one half, so he ran out. Can't do much about the record. Maybe ask around in Neely's next time you're there. Might be one of theirs. So a little glimpse into some of the, like, again, puzzle stuff that they're doing. You go into one location, you find the glue, you find half the record, you find the note telling you to go to Neely's. Very Downpour-esque side quest kind of stuff. Can you fix vinyls with super glue? No, that is not a thing. That would not really work. Like, you could theoretically get it together and put it on a record player, but it would sound like shit, because every time the needle passes over the seam, you would just hear a horrible noise. And with a record that's like snapped in half, you'd be hearing that every couple of seconds, basically every second you would hear that, and it would destroy the needle on your player as well. So no, that's not really it's not really a thing. Door that wakes in darkness, opening into nightmares. Again, all these little things. This wall with all the tarps and stuff on it. The door with the bloody handprints on it. This writing. It looks so close to the original. It is so impressive. Again, credit where it's due. I don't like everything that Bloober's doing with this, but a lot of this little detail to these textures and things, I like. Oh, and then you cut to Bar Neely's. And Bar Neely's is no longer just like a big empty square. With just like the bar, and you get like the map, and then the writing. The whole here is gone now writing and stuff. Now you've got this puzzle element here, the jukebox here, save point. It's kind of filled in a little bit more. This kind of stuff I'm good with. Expanding on these like small areas from the original, giving you a little bit more to do there. This is such a like shattered memories puzzle or something. I don't know what it is about this puzzle. Like I'm excited that there's going to be new puzzles just in general. But like, look at this with the like rotating the little part and connecting it. Oh, but it can't move past this thing. So we got to move the other thing so we can put the thing down. Now you can rotate this out. That's such a like shattered memories puzzle. I can imagine myself doing this with like a Wii remote. Pull the thing over this way so you can slide this thing up here. This kind of stuff is always a little weird to me. So UI. From a UI standpoint, they try to simplify a lot of things where you have this like, oh God, I forgot about this little animation here. When James pulls the sheet off the jukebox. Look at his face. It's supposed to be him reacting to like the dust coming off of it. But it just looks a little silly. He like puffs his cheeks out. It's weird looking. Visually, this looks good. I like the little lights on the coin slot and stuff. All the little details of this. So this, you have this little side inventory, your little quick inventory, right? Downpour does this too, where they try to reduce the UI and instead make it complicated and have more UIs than necessary, more menus and things than necessary. Like, you could make everything function off of this simple UI, but instead you have that plus this like actual inventory menu that you have to go into to like combine things. And this kind of stuff is always sort of weird to me. If you're going to go for the reduced UI thing, commit to the reduced UI thing. If you're just going to give up and put a normal inventory menu that you have to like press a button that takes you out of the game and takes you to a full menu, then just have that. And don't try to make everything seem so seamless. You know, don't try to worry about hiding all the UI elements and stuff if you're just going to have like a regular ass menu. Downpour does the same thing where they're like, oh, we're going to make it realistic. You can only carry 2 weapons on you. You can only have what's in your hands. But then you open up your fucking normal ass inventory button where you've got 5 paintings and, you know, 6 health packs and 20 fucking boxes of bullets and all this other stuff anyway. And it's like, if you're just going to have a normal inventory, don't bother with the little quick inventory. Just have a fucking inventory button. Do one or the other. This is really nitpicky shit that I'm just... It's weird. From a design standpoint, this kind of thing bothers me. Commit to one thing or the other. Or make it an option. Classic menu versus modern inventory or whatever. And they don't play. He solves the puzzle, puts the record in, and notice they don't actually play it. And at first I thought like, oh, that's nice. They don't spoil, you know, what the music is or what the puzzle is. But there's just more to the puzzle. Because notice the one that was broken where you're like putting the record here is number 2. So if you're going to go and push that, oh look, the button's gone. So there's another part to this puzzle still. You have to go explore somewhere else and go find the button as the next part of this. So this isn't the entire puzzle. They only show you kind of like the first bit of it. Sexy ladies in the artwork. Yeah, I noticed that. The little like burlesque ladies or whatever. What is it supposed to be back there? Yeah, see, the stage turns on. Yeah, she's like got like a burlesque thing going on. Or like she might have like a lounge singer dress or something. Definitely made this background track a little more intense. A little bit heavier industrial percussion on it. Woodside Apartments map. Getting a good look at Woodside. Completely changed up a lot of these rooms. Well, not completely, but they've expanded on them. The mannequin with Mary's dress, where you pick up your flashlight and fight the first mannequin. But now it's a bigger room. There's kind of more covered mannequins and stuff around. You get this blend of like the original classic mannequin sound effects along with these new like creepy Yeah, they've got like female moaning noises. Nice flip. Yeah, look at the mannequin flip when it stands up. Whoop. Bam. That mannequin backflips like right the fuck back up. Back at it again at the Krispy Kreme. This combat still looks... It looks better than the previous trailers, but it still looks rough. Again, it's not the most important thing in the world to me, but like some of these hits don't even look like they... Like clearly that misses, but that looks like it was not close enough to hit. Like a lot of the collision looks so off. That last hit, he's like so far away from it. The Chute Courtyard Key. And then you've got drawers and things you can open. You can explore these apartments and things a bit more thoroughly. Again, I hope you can kind of turn off the little visual flash of like, I drank a health drink. Fog looks bad here. The volume of it and stuff, like sticking into these walls and stuff, looks fine, but it's very flickery here for some reason. I think it's this adjustment of the lighting as they're going from this indoor dark area into the outdoor brighter alley, but something is not playing nice with the fog effect here, and it's like really, really flickery. See what I mean? That's the garbage chute. It said that was the chute courtyard. And of course, I mean, oh boy. Looks like it might be. Yep. Yellow tape. We got a dumpster with some yellow tape. God. I mean, it's out of everything that I'm going to complain about when it comes to this, it's definitely not something that I care that much about. But yeah, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of that stuff. It's a little weird. The grabbing and rolling around the dumpster, the yellow tape. Barely noticeable unless you're looking for it, but it's also like, I just don't think it's necessary. If you have nothing there, all you have is an open window, and you try to walk up to the window and James says, I can't quite climb up there. It's a little too high. Right? So you look around. Well, there's this conveniently sized object that's next to you that is exactly in between the height of James and the window. You can figure that out. You don't need yellow tape. You don't need an interact icon. Like, there's nothing else in the environment that you would be like, oh, I wonder what I need to get into this window, other than this perfectly sized object 3 feet away. That's my problem with those kind of things, is like, it's unnecessary. It's so obvious. You shouldn't need to emphasize anything of it. It shouldn't be a little puzzle with like an interact icon and yellow tape, and like, I'm fine with it being there. It doesn't need to be, you know. Yeah, the interact prompts, but you can turn those off. You can turn those off. They've already confirmed that is a setting you can just decline. Because I'm not a fan of those either. So this is like the new sounds for the radio, and I noticed they're using the old radio sound effect with some new radio sounds, and the new radio sounds just straight up sound like PT. It is like identical to how Lisa sounds when she's around you, and you get that like quality crushed, you know, radio quality crying, Lisa crying sound on the radio. This, that like heavier clicking in the radio static. So I actually just replayed PT a couple nights ago. I didn't stream it. I was originally going to stream it, and then I had a bad night. I started feeling terrible, and I wound up not being able to, feeling well enough to stream. So I kind of missed out on it. But it was the 10-year anniversary of PT releasing. And I set up the PS4, made sure that I still had it installed and could still finish it and everything like that. So I did a full playthrough of PT the other night, and like just heard all of these sound effects very, very recently. And that is like, it sounds straight out of PT. These little clicks and stuff in the radio, in the static. It's a Geiger counter sounding crackle. It is. It's very similar to that, but the way that it sounds, it has that like bit of distorted vocal sound behind it as well, which to me, again, comes off as that first bit of Lisa's like crying sound. I wish I had an easy sound clip for comparison, but I don't want to dig through PT footage to find that right now. But it sounds very, very, very similar. Again, not necessarily a bad thing, but things that remind me of PT are always going to be kind of bittersweet, you know? It's not exactly the thing you want to reference in your Silent Hill.
Damn it.
James, just grab it. James, just grab it. It was embarrassingly close in the original game, but you could still at least argue like, oh, if he would need to use his wooden plank or something to reach it. It's like even closer now. In the remake, it's like even closer. Just look, your shoulder, look where the bar is. You're not even up to your shoulder. It's right, it's there. You have it. You can get it. Haha. Yeah, he's reaching from like way over here. Try from this side. Try from this side where it's like fucking 6 inches away.
Hey! Wait! Damn it.
I like Laura during that scene. I don't like James's reaction as much. But again, I'm going to be super biased towards the original because, you know, it's my favorite game for the last 24 years and all. 23, almost 24. But, yeah. The hey, wait, damn it. Again, just comes off a little bit flat.
Wait! Hey!
You know, it's a little bit of a minor gripe again. I'm going over minor stuff here. I think the pacing of the original is better. Because very subtle thing. Laura stomps his hand in the original. She doesn't laugh while she's stomping his hand. In this, she's laughing like while she stomps. In the original, she goes, "Oomph." She like puts effort into the stomp and then like takes a few steps away and then stops and turns back and goes, "Ha ha," and then like runs off. This sort of rushes through it a little bit too quickly.
Hey! Wait!
Yeah, and James doesn't really react too much. He barely goes oof. Like his head slightly moves and he just kind of pulls his arm back. But yeah, not much of a reaction during the actual stomp either.
Hey! Wait! Damn it.
But then again, you know, it's not supposed to really be hurting him. He no-sold that stomp. Again, it's weird, right? Because in the original, Laura making that little oomph sound made it seem like she really did put more effort into like stepping on his hand, like trying to hurt him somewhat. This one, it seems less intense. We've already established he has armored bone hands. True. We forgot that James has adamantium claws. Getting to explore all these little apartments and things. I like the little UI look of what you are using. That's kind of a neat effect. It's like a noise effect. It's like a TV static effect. You see the like scratchiness on it? Almost kind of like the tape, the VHS tape. Scratchiness. Just showing like which thing you're interacting with. Golden apple handle. So we saw this little piece here in an earlier trailer, but we didn't get to see this part of what that actually was. So that's cool. It's like a door handle that's shaped like an apple. And of course, they're working in some new symbolism stuff with the wedding dress being there, obviously alluding to James and his wife Mary. The dress designer needs to be fired. Yeah, when Rachel and I were watching this this morning, when all of this first came out, we were commenting on how ugly this wedding dress is. It looks like there is a thong on the outside. Like, why did they put a thong on the outside of the dress? Gun room, everything shot up. They've added a few new props and stuff to the room compared to the original. But I like the look of this. And then look at the brand on the cart here. It's 8 Mart. And 8 Mart is the convenience store where you pick up the blue gem in Silent Hill 1. So again, little references to some of these locations that are not even in Silent Hill 2, but are still in other parts of the town, which is neat. Penguin bullets. I'm pretty sure that's the same as the original. All of the different ammunition had different animals on the boxes. I think it was penguin, eagle, deer. Like eagle was the shotgun, or deer might have been the shotgun, and then or the rifle. I don't remember, but yeah, that's the same branding or whatever for the ammo. Same sound effect. Same sound effect. And of course, we've got Yamaoka helping out with the sound and music. So I imagine this, because this is a very specific sound that Yamaoka like layered to give a very specific effect. I talk about this sound effect whenever I do Silent Hill 2 story playthroughs. The baby man is back. Yeah, because it is a layered scream where you hear a baby crying and a man screaming. And the way it's layered together, you can kind of hear one or the other. It's the exact same sound. They brought it back. They brought it back for the remake. And I feel like that must have been a Yamaoka call of like, I went through the effort of making this with a specific purpose, layering these things, and it was such a good effect. It has to still be here. So it's here. Yeah, James even kind of does the same little silly stop and look around animation. Very similar. Very similar. One thing I will say, one thing that I complained about when I did my thoughts on Silent Hill 2 Remake video on YouTube, I talked about the point that James talks to himself a little bit too much. And in the original game, there's a lot of inner monologue. So the text on the screen, most of the time that you're reading, are James's thoughts. So it's like when you, in the original, you walk up, you hear the scream, James stops and looks around, and then there's text on the screen where you, as the player, are reading James's inner monologue where he's like, there was a sound from north of here. What was that? And then you go off to investigate. Now, for the remake, this very easily could have been one of those moments where you have James talking to himself too fucking much and going, what was that? What was that scream? I should go check that out or whatever. Way less of that compared to the trailer and the gameplay footage we saw previously a couple months ago. Way less of the James talking to himself. So I'm really happy about that. Things like this are not like overdone, overemphasized. Look at this fucking homecoming. Look at this squeezing through holes, squeezing through cracks in the wall, homecoming stuff. Again, not the worst. Just doesn't remind me of better games, right? And it takes you into this room, into this iconic room, which has been redesigned. This is not like part of the clock room anymore. You don't have the shelf back here where you get the clock room key anymore. So this stuff has been redone, but you've got the James corpse in front of the TV. Original music. And they don't show you everything there. They kind of fade out and leave it. They make this body much more ambiguous compared to the original, with having the face covered. Yeah, basically having the whole body covered, so you can't really see that this is James, whereas it was a lot more obvious in the original. Interesting change. And I can only assume there's more to this scene that we don't see here, where James probably tries to pull this back. He probably does something similar in the original. He's like, oh my God, who could have? And then just sort of trails off. So we'll probably have some similar line that we just don't see for the trailer. Yeah, the clock puzzle is like a completely different thing now. Where you're going around and finding each hand for the clock rather than just a key to open it and change the time. Got the pool with the baby stroller in it, where you would normally pick up the snake coin. Got the lying figures in the pool. An extra lying figure outside of the pool. Aiming and shooting looks bad. I said it. Is apartment pool a common thing in the US? Yes. Absolutely. Apartments and neighborhood pools and things like that are fairly common. Especially in like apartment complexes and stuff. Yeah. This kick every time you shoot. Look how much the reticle jumps. when you're sitting and aiming. That recoil for a pistol's insane. It's a bit much. It's a bit much. And it expands, probably has aim assist on some lower levels. I'm hoping it's something like that. I'm hoping it's like something kind of adjustable based on difficulty or maybe some other settings, but again, little attention to detail things. But the shooting, that amount of kick with the slow reaction time of the aiming, like how long it takes to have the recoil happen and then readjust your aim, like how quick your aim is, just looks a little slow, a little sluggy. There's the new clock puzzle. You can see there's even still some of the little lingering elements of original stuff. Look at the wall here. You can see the arrows scratched in, showing the solution with the clock hands. But the puzzle itself is different now since the clock hands are missing. So you have to actually go around and find them. They sure love their tarps. There was a lot of stuff like that in the original. That was a design choice as well. God, I think it's even mentioned, might have been Ito or a developer during an interview, but I know at one point there's something official on record where they talk about the tarps and stuff, especially in like Brookhaven, where seeing the shapes of objects and rooms without seeing the actual detail tends to be scarier. There's still so much ambiguity to the things that are around you. They're like somewhat familiar shapes, but you're still not 100% certain what they could be. Anything could be under that tarp. So it's that kind of fear of the unknown effect, but utilized in the environment. I'm okay with it. Bog Mummy, welcome back. Thank you so much for the 12 months. Full year of support. Thank you, thank you. Again, these super bright, glowy save points. So here's the way they mark off stuff for the clock puzzle now. Instead of like Henry Mildred Scott, there's an H door, an M door, and an S door. And you have to like figure out how to get the key to get into each door, and then have a puzzle to solve to get the appropriate hand for the clock. So they've really expanded this puzzle a lot. Also a little, the banging on the door as you walk up to it. I'm guessing you're losing hope for the remake, Nub? I mean, it's not like I had a whole lot of expectation for it from the very beginning. If anything, because my expectations were so low, it's not as much, it's not as bad as I thought it would have been. Based on what we've seen so far. I'm not in love with it. I don't think it's anywhere near the original and stuff, but it doesn't look bad. It doesn't look like the worst thing. Like, yeah, I'm going to be hypercritical about stuff, but overall, it doesn't look horrible. It's not like I'm losing hope How's he switching weapons like the Flash? Yeah, that's something I pointed out in previous trailer reviews. But some of the combat animations and things like that don't flow particularly well, especially swapping instantaneously. Although, again, that is a mechanic in the original, at least on the PC port for the original game. You can instantly change from weapon to weapon with a hotkey. Just popped in. Have they shown any of the original music at all? Or is that all redone? The music is all redone, but it's all redone by Akira Yamaoka. It's rearrangements, but a lot of them are very, very close to how they sounded in the original game, if not basically identical. But it's Yamaoka doing his own music again. So it sounds a little different, but it's still the same composer. It's still the same guy doing it. Speaking of music, how do you feel about them seemingly using Laura Plays the Piano, where at the scene where James meets Laura at the wall? I don't think we can go off of any of the trailers that we've seen so far to be an indicator of what the music is going to be in the final version. I think they're using particular tracks that fans are listening for, that are fan favorites, because it's a trailer. You're trying to put as many things in there that fans will like, so that they will buy your game. And people recognize Laura Plays the Piano much more than they recognize the original music for that scene. So I think that's a trailer thing. Oh, yeah. Had to point this out too while me and Rachel were sitting here watching this. So enemies have new moves, new combat, and the line figures do this fucking death spurt. This is not the first time that they've done this. You know what other game they do this in? Book of fucking Memories. So of course, me and Rachel watching this, the first thing we saw was this. Well, when we first saw this attack or whatever, when the enemy dies, we were like, no fucking way. They gave them the Book of Memories glitch. Like, because it's not even something they are supposed to do in Book of Memories. It just happened when they would die while doing a specific attack, and they would sometimes bug out, and they'd be laying on the ground with a puke fountain constantly coming up out of them. And if you walked into it, you would take damage and die. So like, yeah, when Rachel and I saw that, we were like, no fucking way. They gave them the Book of Memories thing. Of all things. Probably not an intentional reference. But yeah. So we have these little segments here. Very they're kind of going, again, you're supposed to still be in the apartments, but they kind of start turning less like apartments and more like maybe an mental ward or asylum or something like that. This caged radio, as something that Rachel pointed out when we were watching this originally, is like very common in old psych wards and mental health wards. Ignoring the fact it was in Book of Memories as a glitch, I kind of like that as a thing Lying Figures can do. The fact that the monsters just have interesting new ways of attacking and moving and stuff, I like. I didn't even get into it, but with the mannequin combat earlier, the mannequins are like, I mean, you saw it flip when it like got up after being downed, but it was also like, it did this crouch where it sort of like crouched down and then lunged, and they sort of like spring at you. That stuff I like. I like that they included new moves that seem kind of appropriate for the enemy designs. The idea of these creatures that are just nothing but legs, yeah, they should have super strong thighs. They should be able to fucking flip and lunge around a little bit more than they could in the original. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with them being more sort of like jumping spider like, instead of strictly walking around human like and just sort of standing there to get, you know, beaten. Because in the original, like, mannequins are such a non-threat out of all the enemies. Now they actually feel like a threat. Now they actually feel like they can damage you. They can fucking fly at you from across the room. So a little bit more threat from the enemies, I'm good with. Especially stuff like that, where it feels appropriate to the enemy design. Rotating valves. We got valve action. Here we go, everybody. So this is no longer optional. Also, I have to point out, I'm pretty sure you're controlling this the whole time as a player. This is not just like a cutscene. Because look at this. There's like this animation of him getting down. You see, there's like a little hesitation there where he stops and locks into an animation. That's because I think that's the player taking control. And yeah, then you have to like move the stick to fish around in the toilet. Again, very similar to Downpour. In Downpour, there's a sequence where you have to reach into a screamer's torso cavity where they're laying on a hospital bed, and you have to find a key inside of this screamer that is still like alive, and you're in control of it. You're moving the stick to move Murphy's arm around inside the creature until it vibrates strongly to indicate that you found the key, and you pull the key out. This seems to be a similar thing where you're in control of this. Look at that. Look how clean. Look how clean the fucking actual hand of the clock looks compared to the hand in the sleeve. They made this so much more gross, and I'm honestly fine with it. Extra poopy. They made it extra poopy. Yeah, you still want your VR? You still want to have your VR experience with this? It's gross. It's gross and it's disgusting, and I kind of like it. I'm a little sad that I cannot make the joke that I usually do when I do Silent Hill 2 classic playthroughs, where in the original that's just an optional puzzle. You don't have to examine the toilet at all. It's just to open up a safe and get some extra ammo. So I usually do a joke where I make James reach into the toilet and get the combination for the safe, and then I don't open the safe. And I'm like, there you go. James got his hand all shitty for nothing. They commit to it. They commit to it with this. It's not optional anymore. And they really emphasize, like, look how gross it is. And you can see he still has poop hand. Yeah, he doesn't use the poop hand to open the door either. I wonder how long that stays on there. Because obviously, eventually, it goes away. But I wonder how long that persists. So we saw the H room. Again, for each hand of the clock, hours, minutes, seconds. The puzzle in the original was Henry Mildred Scott, with scratches on the walls. Now we have each door marked H, M, or S. So this is the M door with moths all over it. You can see some dead and dying ones out here, and then the moth room itself. Stuff like this, I don't like as much. I don't like this as much. I feel like this is... So again, when you have something like the original, and you've got the creepy moth room, it's not swarming with moths, because your reaction to being in a room where there's, like, more moths than you were expecting, like 6 to 10 moths in a room, it's not enough of a swarm to make you like, oh God, what the fuck? Why are all these bugs in here? But it's a lot, to be like, oh, that's weird. There's a lot of moths here. And they specifically emphasize that group of moths that's in this room in the original, where they're attracted to your flashlight. If you turn your flashlight on, the moths swarm around you. They're attracted to your light. And when you turn your light off, they drift away from you. They leave you alone. Here, they ramp it up too much. The room is now just absolutely swarming with moths, and they don't seem to react to your light whatsoever. There's not like more of them coming towards you or like trying to swarm your light. There's not more of them swarming around like the lights in the environment. They're just sort of an effect in the room. It's just kind of like an overlay, like a particle effect. It's not as good. It's not as good. Yeah, exactly, Yoshio. More does not equal better in this case. Also, what are these called? Death head moth something? It's the Silence of the Lambs moth. On the wall there. But yeah, the fact that their emphasis is just like, fill it up with moths. There's a whole swarm of them in there without any of the attention to detail of like having them follow your light around and things like that. It's not as good. Hey, Pitaya. Hey, just got here. What do you think of the new trailer and footage, and how's everyone doing tonight? Oh, I mean, discussing that is basically what I've been doing for the last 4 hours. So welcome. I'm sorry, I'm not going to recap the last 4 hours of conversation, but just to summarize, certain things look better. A lot of things look better. I'm cautiously optimistic. The game doesn't look like a dumpster fire, so that's nice. There's still some things, some complaints, some gripes, but nothing that like kills the game or anything for me. I'm still looking forward to playing it. Pyramid Head. So first, we really toned this down, didn't we? Compared to the original. Compared to the original, where Pyramid Head has a lying figure or a mannequin. No, it's a lying figure, like bent over and moaning. He's not fucking. Ito said he's not fucking. He's only doing something that resemble a fuck. But he had that fucking lying figure bent over and moaning when you enter this boss fight in the original. And now he's got this one. You can see it's dying, but it's way toned down. Way toned down compared to the original. Very Silent Hill the movie. Throwing the body, very much like throwing Anna's skin at the door of the church in the first Silent Hill movie. Silent Hill movie references. As far as Pyramid Head's design, for the most part, I'm cool with it. Some parts look a little off. I like the design of the great knife being more recognizable as a half of scissors. Ito, I'm sure, was able to include and emphasize a lot of those elements of his design that he originally intended. So I like that this is a little bit more clear now as well. The corset in the back, these little straps and stuff, a little bit weird maybe, but it's definitely something I can see being part of Ito's design. He likes the fetish gear, BDSM stuff. So yeah, that's not out of place for Ito design whatsoever. This feels a little odd. Ito kind of like has commented on this part of Pyramid Head as well in the past, because there were like figures, statues that came out where he talked about they kind of took some liberties with this part of Pyramid Head's head, whatever this growth is supposed to be in the original. Now it looks like a hot water bag. You know, it looks, I don't know, it looks strange. It's got like a little thing there where you would hook up like a bike pump. It's like a pool floaty. It's very strange. Wonder if it's part of his breathing. If they showed it like actually expanding and collapsing like that, that would be neat. But it doesn't seem to really do that either. But here we go. Pyramid Head boss fight. Also, the first thing when I saw Pyramid Head right here, as soon as I saw this the first time when Rachel and I were watching it this morning, I was like, I paused the video and I was like, so many horny people are going to be very, very upset about this right here. Because I was around, I've been playing Dead by Daylight since launch. I saw what the fan base lost their minds when Pyramid Head was released in Dead by Daylight, and he originally had some cake, and then they took it away, and everyone lost their fucking mind over behavior nerfing Pyramid Head's ass. And it looks like Bloober has decided to follow suit with the cakeless Pyramid Head design. Personally, I don't mind it, but I was like, I know so many people who are going to be so upset about this. Like, this will legitimately turn people away from buying this game. You think I'm joking? You think I'm joking? This will legitimately lose sales. You know, modders. Oh God, modders are gonna be all over this. It took what, like less than 72 hours when Resident Evil 2 or Resident Evil 2 remake came out, and they had like Nemesis running around in a thong. Guys, people, modders are going to have a fucking field day with this game. Still some goofy looking animations. My favorite one here, watch Pyramid Head's left leg. Our right, his left. You see that? You see that? He has a little moment where he kind of like, he does a little kick. He does a little angry kick. A little stanky leg. This looks fucking brutal right here. So not only does he hit you there, but look how long it takes James to recover and be able to start moving again. And then he's injured, so he's moving slower. And Pyramid Head is already winding up another one. That shit, that's gonna be nutty. Like, there might legitimately be some challenging combat and stuff in this game. That's a death on hard mode. Even in the original on like normal, if he would hit you with that overhead, that was an insta kill. Does shooting Pyramid Head in the head even do anything? In the original, yes. Shooting him, like, you don't kill him in the fight, but shooting him makes the fight end faster. I don't know if it functions the same way in Remake, though. Some of these dodges are crazy. I can't tell. Like, yeah, those are the very Homecoming looking dodges. But I will say, if you dodged like this in Homecoming, that would have hit you. That would have put Alex onto his fucking back. And you would have had to time your button press so that he springs back up instantly. Look at the fucking iframes. Like, either that or the hitbox on this is so specific that missed. Or the iframes on the dodge are just like crazy. The rain is just a screen overlay. It is. You do not see the rain really like... Yeah, you don't see the rain like splashing and pooling and puddling. It's just kind of an overlay on top of everything else. Again, shoutouts to fucking Silent Hill 1 on the PlayStation 1 back in 1999, having dynamic rain effects so that you actually see the rain hit the ground. And there's a unique effect for every like texture in the game, depending on what the rain hits. It looks different if it lands on concrete or dirt or sand or metal grating. And that was on the PlayStation 1. These are the little details. These are the little things that would be nice to see. some rain hitting this puzzle or this puddle a little more obviously, a more wet look, sheen on the character models. Like, that was something that even Downpour did better than this. The rain effects, not the rain effects themselves, but the wet texture effects, like wet cloth and wet surfaces in Downpour. That like one of the few nice things I have to say about Downpour. Is they really did the wet texture effects really well. The wet clothing and stuff in the environment changing and looking different as it rained. Everything here looks a little too static. The bonks. Again, I don't know. This is not going to bother so many people, but it's little things that stand out to me. Kind of reminds me of Final Fantasy VII Remake or Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. There's lots of destructible things in the environments, boxes and crates and things that you can break in Final Fantasy VII Remake, and you just kind of like break them and they like shatter, and then all the pieces and bits of stuff that you just broke just sort of pop out of existence, because by that point they expect the player just kind of moves on and you're not paying attention to it anymore. So you see he destroys all this stuff, and then you watch it pop out of existence. Smash. And it's gone. Smash. And it's gone. How was that not a hit? That has me so concerned. I feel like speedrunning this is going to be rough. Some of this combat's going to be, let's say, not consistent, most likely. Pyramid Head's entire fucking sword clipping into the wall. Right here. Again, not the biggest deal. It's whatever. His animations do look a little stiff. Even compared to the original. He's supposed to be, there's a certain stiffness that there is supposed to be, an awkwardness to Pyramid Head's movement. Obviously you don't want him moving like naturally or fluidly, but I don't know. It looks like kind of like Dead by Daylight Pyramid Head on like a laggy server. Like there's something weird, kind of like jittery, the way he looks when he's like moving here. Not in a good way. Not in a good like Silent Hill Monster, Jacob's Ladder. They're supposed to be shaky and jittery. Like not like that. Like kind of stop motiony almost. I like that. I will say I like that. The little like rush up to James to grab him. He just suddenly speeds up. Gotcha ass. A move that he had in the original, but a lot of people almost never see it because you basically just have to walk up in front of him and just stand there and get grabbed. And now he's got some speed behind it. Kind of rushes up to it. It's like fucking Undertaker running across the ring to choke slam somebody. See, look, James kicks out pretty much immediately. So, yeah, Johnny's sick. No tongue, no tentacle. But I think that's because he just kicks out. I think if you let that animation keep going a little bit, you'll probably see it. Because it's the same in the original, too. Like, if you don't let the animation kind of go for a second, you don't really see it if you just struggle and get out immediately. Pyramid Head parries James. Look at that. Pyramid Head slaps the fucking wooden plank away. Look at this. Bop. Bop. No. Get off me. Just defend. Guard cancel. He push blocked. He parried. Yeah. I gotta say, like, as clunky as certain things in the combat look, there's things like that make me be like, okay, if I'm playing it and it's in my hands and I can get used to these mechanics and they feel responsive and good enough, even looking a little bit rough and even being a little bit clunky, those mechanics can save the combat if it feels good enough. If it actually feels good enough in your hands. So I don't know. This is one of those things that it's hard to tell from just watching it. You really got to feel it. Feel like the combat's probably better to play but bad just to watch. Yeah. I hope that's the case. I hope it doesn't feel as bad to play as it looks. Because yeah, if there's actually some better feeling on the hit registration for like all of these moves and all of these impacts of like weapons hitting and being parried and things like that, it could potentially be nice. It could potentially be a better combat system. Again, it doesn't need to be fucking amazing. We don't need a crazy Dark Souls fighting game or, you know, whatever high level fighting game system to be a part of the combat, but it needs to be serviceable. It shouldn't be completely annoying, and it shouldn't feel completely pointless either. You got to kind of strike a good balance with Silent Hill combat. That's difficult to do. Little detail there. Look at his hand. So when you start hearing the siren indicating the end of the fight, Pyramid Head, he starts doing the hand thing. Where he'll like, in the original, he'll raise his hand up and sort of wave it around, almost like he's trying to sense what's around him with his hand. He does it very iconically in the scene with James in the closet when he's watching Pyramid Head and the mannequins. So you notice Pyramid Head start to do that here. And then his animation kind of gets canceled, I think. where he starts to walk away. So I think depending on how you finish this fight, you'll see a little bit more of that animation. But yeah, just a little detail there I caught. He starts to do that little hand thing, the little pyramid head hand thing. There's a Final Fight style RE fan game somebody made. There's a Streets of Rage style Silent Hill fan game that somebody made. It's a side scroller 2D beat 'em up. It's basically just Streets of Rage but with Silent Hill sprites. Custom made Silent Hill sprites. I played that on stream a long time ago. It's actually pretty good. Better than I would have expected it to be. But that's it. That's it. That's all the new footage. That's the new trailer. Let me put some music back on. But, man. Man, oh man. So after going through all of it, sharing my thoughts, pointing out a lot of the things, the majority of my complaints are relatively small things. Larger issues I'm still concerned about: changes of dialogue, changes to pacing, some performances. Salome Gunnersdottir, who does the voice of Mary and Maria, I think her Mary performances are really good. Her Maria performances are not. They leave a lot to be desired. Things have definitely clearly improved since the first trailers and footage and things we were seeing. I understand so much more now. When Bloober put out that statement after the original trailers came out, that they said Konami basically made that decision and that they were not happy because those trailers didn't reflect the state of the game at that time. I see what they mean now. I see why they made that statement. Because looking at the footage and looking at the trailer that we've seen now, clearly those previous trailers, that previous footage and stuff, they should have never shown it. They should have never shown any of that. They should have waited to show this. Like, everything we saw today, everything that came out this morning, that should have been... They should have held off on announcing until they had what we saw today. I think people would have been more positive overall compared to the response we got with the first trailers and stuff. So, I'm glad. It looks like they're listening to feedback. It looks like they've really been trying to... Bloober Team's been trying to respond to feedback and change things. And that's good. That's good to a certain degree. The game for less hardcore fans will be great. For more hardcore fans, might be 50-50. If you can even get 50-50 out of hardcore fans, I'd say that's a success. Because a lot of hardcore fans, like myself, I admit, were much harder to please. Our standards, I think, tend to be a lot higher. We've got a lot of love and passion and history when it comes to the Silent Hill games. Again, Silent Hill 2, it's been essentially my favorite game for the last 23 years. So they're going to be hard pressed to make something that's going to compare to the original. So if they can even make someone like me interested, even just for something like exploring the town, looking around in some of the buildings and environments that you couldn't before, appreciating a lot of the little details where they faithfully recreated or just reused original assets. I can appreciate those things. I can appreciate those things, even if the game maybe doesn't live up to expectations, even if it's, not my high up on my overall tier list or anything like that. It's definitely not going to be at the bottom. There are a lot of things about this that I am genuinely excited for the game to come out. I'm genuinely looking forward to playing this. It's not like, I'm not dreading it the way I was with stuff like Book of Memories or stuff like Ascension. Yeah, it's not something that I dread having to slog through just because it has Silent Hill in the name. It feels like Bloober. I'm not a fan of them. I'm not a fan of the devs. I'm not a fan of their games. But for what it's worth, there have been many, many times where people have been interviewed and talk about how respectful and how much big of fans they are of the Silent Hill series, and when they're making something Silent Hill related. And based on what I've seen, how they've started, how the first trailers and things were, how the most recent footage and stuff looks, and their interviews and everything, I believe Bloober Team. I might not appreciate or enjoy some of their other games, any of their other games, but when they say we're fans of this, like ultimately they're excited to be remaking this because they're fans of it, I believe they're genuinely fans of it. I don't think they're the types of fans who necessarily understand it at the deepest levels the way a lot of us do, the way a lot of the hardcore fans do, but they definitely seem like people who legitimately had love and respect for this game and are doing their best to make something. And they know they're not going to please everybody. They know they cannot please everybody. So they're trying to include as many things as they can. And that's the key thing. They're trying. It feels like they're trying. This could have very easily been a slap together cash grab. And it doesn't seem like that at all. It seems like they are genuinely trying to make this as good as they can, even if not everybody's going to like it. So that's kind of it. That's my thoughts on everything. No word on Townfall or F? Nope. No new news. No nothing on anything else. Pretty much out of all the new stuff that was announced on the previous transmissions, the only thing we've gotten anything really new for is like Return to Silent Hill. And that has sort of gone quiet, strangely enough. There was a lot going on there for a little bit. There were production leaks and a little trailer and stuff. And then that got taken down, and suddenly everything's gone real quiet with Return to Silent Hill. Return to Silent Hill, by the way, is the Christoph Gans directed Silent Hill 2 movie. It's in post-production. I assume it should be coming out sometime soon. But again, it's kind of strange they went very quiet on it. So at some point there will be another Silent Hill movie soon, probably. And then eventually we'll get some more news on Townfall and F, but we just haven't heard anything yet. But as soon as there is any news, if there's any new trailers, if a demo suddenly drops, anything like that, I'm going to be here. I'm going to cover it. I'm going to talk about it, discuss it, analyze it, do everything I can to cover any of the new Silent Hill news and everything coming out. So till then, be good to each other. Much love and peace.